You won't believe what wrecked Lewis Hamilton's race pace in Montreal. It wasn't strategy, it wasn't tires, it wasn't even another car, it was a groundhog. Yes, seriously. But this isn't just a weird moment in F1 trivia, it had a real, measurable impact on Hamilton's Ferrari. We're talking about 20 points of lost downforce. That's not a small knock. That's performance hemorrhage. And it completely derailed a race that had started with promise. So what actually happened out there? And how did a tiny creature derail one of the sport's biggest names? Let's break it down. For the first time in 2025, Lewis Hamilton lined up ahead of Charles Leclerc on the grid for the second consecutive weekend. P5 in qualifying, things were finally looking like they were turning around for the seven-time champ at Ferrari. The early laps? Solid. He got a clean start, kept pace with the front runners, managed tires, and looked set for a top 5 finish, maybe even a fight with the McLarens ahead. Then came lap 8. Out of nowhere, Hamilton hit what he later learned was a groundhog, a heartbreaking and bizarre moment. He didn't see it, he didn't expect it, but the damage was done, literally. The impact tore up part of the Ferrari's floor. One of the most sensitive, performance-critical areas of the car was compromised. Vents and vanes? Gone. Right side of the floor? Cracked open. Balance? Office. And with that, any shot Hamilton had at keeping up vanished into the Montreal air. "I love animals, and I'm devastated," Hamilton said post-race. But from a performance side, once the floor was gone, the race was over. "I just wanted it to end." Team boss Fred Vasser didn't sugarcoat it. "We had a small kiss with a marmot," he joked. But the numbers told a brutal truth. Hamilton lost 20 points of downforce. That's a huge hit in F1 terms, equivalent to dragging the car with a parachute on a track where aero is everything. The Ferrari crew managed to keep Hamilton in the race, but from that point forward, he was just surviving. Add in a brake issue mid-race and a strategy call that left him stuck in traffic, and the Canadian Grand Prix became a race to forget. After lap 13, Hamilton said he felt like he was just circulating. "I couldn't see anyone ahead or behind. Nothing was working. I just wanted to get to the end." And that's what he did, bringing the car home in P6. A decent haul of points, but not reflective of the pace he showed early in the weekend. More importantly, he now trails Leclerc by 25 points in the Drivers' Championship.
10 races, 0 podiums, the longest drought of his career. For a driver like Lewis Hamilton, 7 world titles, more wins than anyone in F1 history. That's not just surprising, it's shocking. And now, former F1 driver Robert Dornbos is speaking out. Not with sympathy, but with sharp analysis. He's not just calling out Ferrari's failure to deliver, he's questioning whether Hamilton himself still has what it takes. What if this whole Ferrari move wasn't a revival, but the beginning of the end? Stick around, because what we're about to unpack doesn't just raise questions about the team, it digs into Hamilton's future, his pace, and whether the dream is already slipping away. Let's call it what it is. This was supposed to be a redemption arc. The greatest of his era joining the most legendary team in motorsport. Fireworks, legacy, a final title chase. Instead, 10 races in, Hamilton hasn't touched the podium once in a Grand Prix. The only victory on his side of the garage? A sprint race win, a brief flash in a season full of gray clouds. He currently sits 6th in the standings, 119 points behind Oscar Piastri. His best finish in a Sunday race? P4 at Imola? Even more staggering, this is now the longest podium drought of his entire F1 career. Robert Dornbos, former Red Bull and Minardi driver, couldn't help but take a dig while reflecting on it. "I know how that feels," he joked. "I had 11 races and didn't get a podium either." But behind the humor, there's real concern. Dornbos admits he wanted to see Hamilton thrive. He hoped Ferrari would rally behind him, that they'd give him a car worthy of his skill, that maybe, just maybe, this chapter would end with a championship parade in red, but the optimism is gone. They've changed a lot in that team, Dornbos said, and it's still dramatic. So what's the real issue? Is it the car, the culture, the driver? According to Dornbos, it's all of the above. He draws a direct line to Ferrari's golden era under Michael Schumacher, an era fueled not just by talent, but by structure. Back then, Ferrari had English engineering know-how, Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, operating from Italy. A German superstar, but a unified direction. Today, that cohesion isn't there. Now you've got a Frenchman leading, a Monegasque driver, and an Englishman with baggage, Dornbos points out. It's an international mess. And perhaps most alarmingly, Dornbos claims Hamilton himself isn't delivering. He's not fast enough either, you could say. That statement is brutal, but it's not unfounded. Hamilton's not just losing to Red Bull and McLaren, he's consistently trailing his own teammate, Charles Leclerc. Add to that some painfully awkward radio moments between Hamilton and his race engineer, Riccardo Adami, and you get a picture of a team and driver, not just underperforming, but misfiring on every level. Dornbos sums it up like a broken relationship. Like any marriage, there are ups and downs. But there's no up, it's only down. Forget the press conferences, ignore the carefully worded denials. The real battle at Ferrari isn't happening on the track, it's behind closed doors. There's tension, whispers of betrayal, and now, a veteran Italian journalist just lit a fire under the entire situation. In a powerful message aimed at Ferrari leadership and media alike, he didn't hold back. He didn't call for heads to roll, but he did demand truth. And it all circles around one question that could shape the future of the most iconic team in Formula One. Should Fred Vasser stay or go? Stick around because what's happening at Maranello isn't just political. It's personal. And it's heating up fast. Ferrari entered 2025 like a team ready to win it all, Leclerc in his prime, Hamilton joining the squad, momentum from a near miss in 2024, and yet 10 races in, it's all unraveling. No wins, questionable strategies, public frustration, and now mounting pressure on team boss Fred Vasser. Italian media are sharpening their knives. One report says top brass have already grilled Vasser behind closed doors. Another puts a deadline on his future, the British Grand Prix. If the results don't improve, he's out. Replaced possibly by Ferrari hypercar boss Antonello Coletta, fresh off a third straight Le Mans triumph. Vasser has called these rumors disrespectful. He's accused journalists of damaging the team, but respected F1 voice Leo Torini just stepped in with a reality check. And he's not picking sides. He's calling for clarity, not chaos. For truth, not spin. His message? Ferrari doesn't need pathetic public defenders. We need honest witnesses to the truth. And he breaks it down with 4 brutally honest points. First, no. Vasser can't be blamed for 2 decades of Ferrari failure. He didn't cause the drought. Second, but yes, 2025 has been discouraging. This is his team, his setup, his season, and it's not working. Third, the media isn't the problem. Criticism isn't sabotage, and invoking Todt, who faced his own early struggles, reminds us that strong leadership doesn't hide from questions. Fourth, Ferrari's current crisis is real, but firing Vasser mid-season, that's a serious call, Lachany, and not one that should be masked in PR spin or leaks. If you're keeping him, extend his contract. Show belief. If not, replace him now and be honest about what the new leader can and can't control. Here's the twist in all this drama. 2026. That's the year everything resets. New cars, new engines, a clean slate for the entire grid. And for Ferrari, it might be their best shot at climbing back to the top. But that makes the decision around Vasser even more urgent and more delicate. As Turini puts it, Ferrari's 2026 car is already in motion. Development is underway. The concept is likely locked, which means if you do fire Vasser now, you can't blame his successor for what happens in the short term. It's not just about race results, it's about protecting the next era. If you replace Vasser today, Leo Turini argues, John Elkann, Ferrari's chairman, needs to step up publicly and make one thing clear. Whoever comes in next won't be held responsible for the 2025 mess or the 2026 outcome, because by the time they take control, the ship's already sailing. That's the catch-22. Keep Vasser and ride out the storm, or roll the dice on a new name, Coletta or someone else, knowing full well the impact won't be immediate. Either way, one thing is obvious. The time for vague answers is over. Ferrari must choose and own that choice. No more hiding behind silence, no more blaming the press, no more hoping things just turn around. Because, as Turini said, if you trust Vasser, prove it. If you don't, end it. But stop pretending. The future's already knocking. Bottom line, the real drama at Ferrari isn't in the pit lane. It's at the top of the food chain. And whatever happens next could shape the next decade of Scuderia history.